What's going on, guys? This is Austin with Overkill Wash Equipment. This is episode 1 of Busted or Trusted. This is a series where we personally buy the most hyped up products in the industry, put them to the test, and see what the truths are behind them. We get rid of the gaslighting, we stay unbiased, and we just let the product do the talking. So, episode 1 is going to be chemical injectors, the draw rates, and seeing which injector is actually pulling the strongest. Let's show you what we're using. Starting off on the left over here, we have 100950 for the part number. It's your typical general pump brass 5 to 8 gallon a minute injector. All of these injectors will be 5 to 8 with number 4 orifice tips inside of the injectors. So we have a pretty controlled environment to be able to get the best data possible. Moving on to this one here, this is another general pump. It's a stainless steel injector. This is 100339LG. That's your average run-of-the-mill injector for stainless steel. Stepping up, we have a stainless steel Suds sucker, and then on the last one, we have 100950 for the injector body, except it has a 1/4 inch check valve and adapter to be able to hook up to your hose. So, like I said, we have a controlled environment here. We've got a 48-inch drop tube that we are going to be putting into our 1 gallon container here, as you can see. So what we're going to do is fill this container all the way up with water, so it's basically overflowing. That way we know that we have the maximum amount of water in here. We're going to take a timer, put a timer on for about 30 seconds. At the end of that 30 seconds, we'll take whatever is left, put it on the scale. We'll create a data sheet that shows how much each injector drew within that time frame. So that's going to give us the best controlled environment to be able to see exactly what these numbers are. We are going to do the machine at half throttle and then at full throttle, so you guys can see both applications for that. Here's a couple other variables we have that are controlled. We have an electric bypass system here. We also have just a 50-foot section of 3/8 pressure hose with a ball valve going into our holding tank, so this will create one big loop we can test without dumping water everywhere. It will be open ball valve flow, no tips. The only thing that we will be adjusting that will be variable is the throttle position. So this is kind of best case scenario for the injectors to draw as much as possible. The least amount of hose on them will typically draw the best. Here's how our timing situation is going to work. I'm going to put on a timer for 30 seconds and I'm going to stand next to the machine. As soon as the 30-second timer is out, I will turn off the machine, and at that point, that will be our stopping point to check the liquid level and the weight. We have our first injector loaded up. The light is flashing. As soon as this machine turns on, it will start drawing the water. 3, 2, 1. All right, that is our first test. Now we'll take it over to the scale and give it a weight. First injector left the remaining amount of water in the container, 6 pounds, 7 ounces.
6 7 Oh my God, so fucking funny.
Just to show the constant variable, this container completely full weighs 8 pounds, 12 ounces to the very top. There's much water able to be packed into that thing. We now have the second injector loaded up, which is going to be the stainless general pump injector. We are now getting ready to start the machine again and see how much this one draws. We are starting the machine in 3, 2, 1. Weight remaining in this container is 5 pounds, 4.7 ounces. We now have the stainless Suds sucker injector in line. This is a very popular one, so we are going to see how this one performs with this test. We will be starting the machine in 3, 2, is 6 pounds, 5.9 ounces. All right, we will be testing the last injector for the evening. This is the 100950 brass injector with the check valve kit on it. Brand new injector. I had to go in there and unstick it again. So we'll see if it can make it through this test. We will be starting the machine in 3, 2, going to be 6 pounds, 15.3 ounces. After the half throttle testing, we can see that the GP Stainless 100339LG consumed the most amount of liquid. It had the least amount of weight remaining in the container, and it also theoretically will produce the highest percentage of bleach at a 12.5% concentration or 10.5 with this injector. The next place finisher is going to be the Double Gulp, which will produce about a 0.79% final percentage. So that's a pretty good gap between first and second place currently. Starting with the check valve adapter on the 100950 injector, full throttle, starting in 3, 2, water remaining in this container is 7 pounds, 1.2 ounces. Now we have the Suds sucker stainless steel injector in, and we will be starting the machine at full throttle in 3, 2, Six pounds, 7.1 ounces. Up next, we have the 100339LG injector. This is the General Pump stainless steel high draw. We will be starting in 3, 2, the water remaining in this container is 5 pounds, 4.2 ounces. All right, the last injector we are going to be testing for the night is the one we started off with. This is the brass 100950 chemical injector at full throttle. We will be starting the machine in 3, 2, 6 pounds, 9.2 ounces. Did you guys really think I was going to forget about the double gulp? Come on now. This part number is 100791, dual ceramic ball, higher quality springs inside of this injector. This one I'm excited to see. All right, we've modified our testing situation just slightly for this injector. I have 2 tubes that are going into the bottle that are the same exact length, 48 inches on the dot. Both have elbows, so it's not going to draw against the bottom, up in the air, everything. Same end connection that was on the test kit for the other injectors. We're going to test this at full throttle first, and then we will do half throttle. Full throttle, starting the machine in 3, 2, 6 pounds, 6.1 ounces. All right, now we have the double gulp topped off with water, half throttle on the machine. We are going to be starting the machine in 3, 2, 6 pounds, 5.7 ounces. Well, that concludes the field testing on these injectors. Let's move into the office and put this stuff on a spreadsheet and see where these injectors rank at.
All right, after the full throttle testing, we can see that the GP Stainless 100339LG is still in the lead with 5 pounds, 4.2 ounces remaining after 30 seconds. It consumed 55.8 ounces of water. It would theoretically draw 9.7% chemical, which would produce a final percentage of 1.21% bleach at 12.5% mixture. The next runner-up would still be the Double Gulp 100791 dual barb injector, of course with both tubes going into the same liquid. That is the key point here. That one is still only going to produce about 1.01%, so it's almost 1/4% off, which is pretty substantial. It's not a close call by any means. If we look at this chart here, this chart compares a couple different metrics: price, the full throttle percentage, half throttle percentage, how long it takes to fill a 5-gallon bucket, and the percent restriction. A couple things this chart tells us: if you're looking to ball on a budget, the 100950 brass injector is going to be your best bet, and it's not very far off from the other competitors in its league. You're talking about 6% up to the Double Gulp injector. The other thing is the amount of time it takes to fill the bucket. This basically would determine how much longer it would take you with different injectors to spray the side of a house or pre-treated driveway, for example. The stainless Suds sucker takes the win on this because it is a little bit more efficient to be able to put out the volume. The stainless Suds sucker also has the lowest restriction out of the injectors that we have used at 8.5% over baseline. Our baseline fill-up time is 33.07 seconds, so you're at about a 3% variation on the rest of these injectors. So that's where our 0% restriction comes from, is our baseline testing with no injector in the line. That's where those numbers come from. This last chart here compares the price versus performance. As we can see, the 100950 regular brass injector with the ceramic ball and upgraded spring is going to be the best choice for dollar versus performance. It will theoretically produce 0.94% at the injector, and for a price of around $20 to $30 depending on what source you buy it from, that is going to be your best bargain. The next best is going to be the GP stainless, which is the overall winner of this test. That's going to run you about 50 to 60 bucks depending on where you get it from. That's going to produce your highest percentage at 1.21%, and that gives you a very solid platform. Coming in third place is going to be the Double Gulp injector. That one around the same price as the stainless, but it's less of a performance gain over the GP. So in that scenario, you're better off picking the GP stainless unless you're trying to run soap and bleach or something else to basically allow the Double Gulp to be a good choice. All right, this chart here confirms a couple things. There's always been a myth that running half throttle consumes more chemical, allows you to run a hotter mix through the injector, and it's actually a mixed answer for the other injectors. So the GP stainless operated better by about a half ounce at full throttle. The other injectors, however, operated better at half throttle by almost 2.2 ounces on some of the injectors. So at this point, I think it's safe to say that it's going to depend on the injector and obviously the setup and plumbing, but in a controlled environment like this, there are some that still operate better at full throttle.
Let me know in the comments what injector you guys are running on your personal rigs, if any of this data surprised you, and what you want us to test next here at Busted or Trusted. We're gonna take the gaslighters and put their money where their mouth is, see if it's all about the hype, and honestly let the products do the talking so you guys don't waste your hard-earned money on bullshit. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.